Hello and welcome, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. Welcome to the round of 8 in the Spring 2020 Randomizer Tournament here on Randomania 1. I'm Jat, and I'm joined in the booth by Magus. How are you doing tonight, Magus?
I am holding up, Jat. Looks like it's going to be interesting. Red mage, white mage, black mage. Ooh, this is going to be nice.
Yeah, so these all-mage parties, especially spicy, as in the brackets, we have Town Shuffle on. And Town Shuffle, of course, means Canaria is going to be Canaria, but we might not find early level 2, level 3, or level 4 magic. And that can really make things interesting as these runners struggle to get through the early stage of this game.
Very, very true.
So this bracket, or this draft started out with Syl taking the white mage, Thunder followed up with black mage, red mage, and Syl, you know what? She didn't jump at the game of chicken. She just finished up with a red mage. So this could be something that Syl's been planning, or a party that she wanted, or they wanted, sorry.
I'd have to say, honestly, for this, this is going to be an interesting one, considering the red mage is the damage dealer. It's going to be interesting. I mean, unless you get nuke early, it's going to be fun to see.
So for those of you who have joined us throughout the Swiss rounds, we have a few changes here for the bracket. We've upped the difficulty. We've added in tri-state movement. So what that means is that the canoe and the floater are both tri-state, and that means they have over a 50% chance of being loose. And that's just going to make it so that these runners tend to have to dive dungeons a little bit earlier instead of going for the relatively safe for mini dungeons in like ice and ordeals and waterfall to get their key movement options. We also have Town Shuffle on, and notably Town Shuffle means that the floater may be required for sure if it's in Lefane. It also moves those key level 2, level 3, and level 4 spells out of the inner sea, so they could be stuck on just level 1 magic while they try and dig for that canal in, say, Marsh. And finally, we have 3 loose, so it's similar to Chaos Week, in that we have 3 loose plus the loose canal, so no incentivized feed dungeon for the brackets.
I mean, they'll most likely, at least they'll have level 1 magic. Trust me, after doing a seed this past weekend where I chose to include Magic Shop Shuffle and Magic Shop Location Shuffle, be glad you have that level 1 magic.
Yeah, definitely. So our runners should be on their way in about 30 seconds here, and then we should have a great race. So both of these runners have fought hard through the Swiss rounds into the brackets, and both of them won. I don't know exactly what their scores were, but they both got through the round of 16 to get to this round of 8 in a best-of-3 matchup, and this is game 1 of 3, and we are off. So Sylverfyre and Thundercloud, game 1, round of 8. Here we go.
Nothing good, and fast and ice. Ooh, great start.
Yeah, so all that talk about, not having early magic available, and maybe not getting level 2 or level 3 or level 4 magic early, that just happened. So we'll have to see how these runners adjust.
Ooh, although I do have to add Copper Bracelets rolling cheap, and Pro Rings rolling actually relatively cheap as well. Silver Swords rolling pretty high, Hammer not available, and the other items, being relatively not that expensive. You will see Ice be cast.
Yeah,
that is automatic. You pick Ice up.
Yeah, there was no cheap early weaponry, no rapiers available or anything along those lines. So these runners are going to have to do it the old-fashioned way with Ice into Toph for the first time.
Ice, baby.
That will be the theme song for this beginning of this run. Also of note, there was not really save items available for cheap, so they will have to just dive through this, and if they wipe, they'll have to go all the way back to Canaria.
Which is why I see Sylverfyre right there, immediately going after Garland, because it'll be 2 free items, and then they can decide whether or not they want to run to Provoca or down to Elfland, at least the locations, to see about, getting those save items.
Yeah, but Thundercloud calling, speaking up for his namesake, finding the Thor hammer in the bottom left chest there, which is actually a huge pickup if this ends up being a very low magic seed for the beginning.
And as a positive note, we got a couple of fetch quests, the bottle and the TNT. At least the TNT will be able to be checked early.
And the bottle may be. So unlike in, what you may have been seeing, Gaia may just be in Provoca, or Gaia may be in Elfland. So the bottle actually not as much of a bonk item in the early game as it is in some other flag sets.
That is very, very true.
Sylverfyre finding Provoca in Elfland, so decided to go to Elfland first, and definitely getting paid off here as we're getting some magic checks as well as a key item with Bicky.
Ah, so Provoca was Provoca. Nice.
Elfland was Provoca, actually.
Ah.
So we have some good kill magic in Brack, but still no sweeper. We do have Brack and Warp, so we're getting good utility here with Fast and Brack and Warp, but no big sweeper, and that's a little bit of a problem.
Did Thundercloud take a death, or did they run back and save to keep that forward hammer?
I think they took a death there. Something to note for those of you who are familiar with Final Fantasy Randomizer is that Thorhammer is an incentive item in this flag set, and that does mean that one of our 3 loose items has already been found, and that is actually a pretty major informational advantage to Thundercloud, if Sylverfyre doesn't end up checking that. There's also some really good money and an Opal Shield, which could be sold for cash for Thundercloud on the top left, so checking those chests in Toph definitely paying off. Oh, and pirates have Blaze, so this is showing exactly what that unsafe pirate flag means. So the unsafe pirate flag does not mean the pirates are swole, like another particular flag, but instead what it means is that these pirates have the ability to roll scripts and spells, and when you have 9 things with Blaze, this could be a very tough fight with no sweeper, and Sylverfyre is going to nope out and see what is in Provoca. The Thorhammer is going to be absolutely essential to get through those pirates if Sylverfyre does not find anything in Provoca. Thundercloud getting through Toph, and about to pick up his bottle and TNT.
I do have to add, Blaze pirates aren't the worst thing I've seen the pirates have. They can roll nuke. Having 9 pirates with nuke is horrible, and it's literally one of the reasons why the unsafe pirate flag exists.
Yeah. Now, them with nuke basically means that if they turn order you, you lose. But on the bright side, if you turn order them with your Thorcaster, you'll win. So you'll get there eventually. If you don't have a sweeper, that's a completely different story, though. So Thundercloud picking up a silver sword, which is a really nice pickup there, as that's a really solid mid-game sword for them to have something to swing while their Thor hammer does the rest of the work. But that's going to be nice if Sylverfyre doesn't find any available magic here in vanilla Provoca.
I mean, as a positive thing, Silver Sword is going to be good. It's going to be probably their best damage dealing item for a while, excluding the forward hammer, because those red mages are going to be your actual endgame, fighters.
Yeah. And not much more available to them until they promote, unless they find the Massa. Oh, speaking of a dungeon that is a great place for a Thor hammer and a terrible place for ice, we have Onrak here, and if we find the Oxale behind the pirates, this could be a forced early
C.
That would
always
be nasty.
Good. Although, as a positive note, tents rolling 66 gold, not bad. Though cabins being just the tiniest bit more, I believe cabins heal more, so if you got the money, it's sort of worth just picking up a few more cabins than tents. At least in the long haul.
Yeah. Softs were also $1,000, which is very unfortunate for these runners. Picking up an early soft is a nice insurance play, but a little bit out of reach. But lots of money in the early game here. We had, like 8,000 roughly in Toph, and then we had another 7,000 there. So definitely enough money to pass around, which will be essential for equipping this all-mage party. Demon Frog pointing out in chat that he's surprised that Silver passed those Topher chests. And yeah, I agree. It's a little bit surprising, but I can understand given the magic situation. And also the fact that they didn't have a save item. If they had a save item, I think you check them every single time.
Oh, most
and we could
definitely.
see Thundercloud lost a little bit of time there.
But what they picked up was well worth the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, as a positive note, also Thundercloud has an actual Opal Shield they can sell. Because the red mages can't equip it. You know, so essentially that's just more money.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of money gear in this seed. Katanas, all the high-level knight gear, all of that can just get chucked to the vendor if you need any money. Mostly to fund your spellbook, and then later to buy us those very expensive pro rings. Well, actually relatively cheap pro rings, but still stuff you have to buy nonetheless. Okay, so Sylverfyre are going to go check out those Toph chests, it looks like, right away, and that will definitely get them an item that they're looking for. Meanwhile, Thundercloud going to go turn in that TNT at the dwarfs. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't checked Elfland yet, so he doesn't have warp, so he's going to have to walk it the long way. And the loot is loose in the dwarf cave, so Thundercloud has already found 2 of the 3 loose items. Not counting the canal, of course. So loose items are obviously nice to find because they not only open up, you know, give you items like the Thor Hammer or let you advance in the game, but they also let you speed up how you clear. Because once you find 3 loose, you can choose what chest to open and not worry about leaving one behind.
That is very, very true. And once you have those 3 items, I don't know, I missed what was in the TNT.
It was the crown. So Astos, of course, going to be available, and that's going to be a nice routing option for Thunder. However, Sylverfyre are not going to be too upset about that, as assuming they get they go to Dwarves basically right after this, then they'll be going south and be able to turn in that crown on their way to Marsh if they don't find what they're looking for behind Bicky.
As a positive note, though, looks like Thundercloud actually checking Elfland, which, as we know, is Provoca, so this will be huge for them. They'll be able to take care of the pirates, get another item, and actually take on, you know, the advantage of, you know, actually picking up the Thor Hammer early.
So Jonathan Yoshi, our fantastic tracker tonight, pointing out in chat that it smells a little swampy in here, and yeah, Marsh is looking somewhat required. However, if Bicky has the Oxyel, then that early sea play is definitely in the cards. And it's going to be an interesting decision to see where these runners decide to go.
I mean, picking up Harm 3 here is a very good play if you have to dive Marsh. There's a lot of enemies there. It's actually a sweeper in there, so you can use it.
Yeah, the combination of Harm 3 and the Thor Hammer should be able to get you through a lot of Marsh. Of course, fire is kind of what you're looking for Marsh generally, and some ability to run, which this party is not so great at, but
well,
you have to take what you can.
Note, you do have warp, so it is a quicker check on that one.
Absolutely, and that's really important. That's actually also really important for mermaids in particular in sea, as mermaids become so much faster and so much safer with warp.
Oh, I completely missed that. Invis 2 is available too as well.
Yeah, so Invis 2 full of great utility spells.
Yep. So let's see what the pirates will give us today.
Yeah. And we can basically see right now that these runners have checked pretty much identical locations at this point, and Sylverfyre is just, you know, 30 seconds or 45 seconds away from taking on Bicky, as they had to double dip Provoca, whereas Thundercloud did not.
Let's see, today Binky gives us the Chime.
Ooh, the Chime, an interesting item. Getting those early checks into Mirage, and I have seen my fair share of canoes or floaters in Mirage, with or without the cube, because of that tri-state, which I mentioned earlier.
Yes, yes, indeed. I mean, are we playing with tri-state? I don't think we are, so... Yeah, this is going to be interesting, though, because of what's left.
Yeah, so at this point, the crown will be able to be turned in, and if the crown does not turn into the key or the canoe or the Oxyale, then Marsh will be required.
Yes, and the problem is that that means we will know where all 3 loose items are.
Well, no, because the loose item...
Right, the canal. Yeah. I thought about it and it's like, wait, that. Oh yeah, ding! Over the head. And ooh, ogres with frost.
Yeah, so we had pirates with blaze and ogres with frost, so definitely getting, you know, they're making fun of us a little bit, saying, you know what, you don't get any early game sweepers, but we do.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be better. let's hope we get something, insanely good. Ooh, Estos time. He gives us nothing here. The ruby.
Okay,
Marsh
so the ruby.
required.
Yeah, the ruby's always a really nice item to find, as it's going to open up 2 incentive locations after we get the canal. And unfortunately, at this point, we have confirmed that the canal is in Marsh.
Yes, and with that one, at least they will be able to warp out. However, the better question is, do you want the last loose item to be in Marsh now, or TFC? Because they will check Marsh early on, and if it's in and if the last actual loose item is there, they probably won't come back for it for a while. Whereas if they have the key by the time they get to the TFC down in the
Sea Shrine.
Yes, sorry, you know how this is like down in Sea Shrine, they will probably not, go back to Marsh. They'll check that first because it's a lot, it's on the way. You still look for stuff. However, if it, it's the whole fact of if it's in Marsh, they won't come back for a while because they would have already checked it.
And actually, Cyrinus, our restreamer today, pointing out that it could be also the canoe in Marsh. So you were talking about, Oxale and Key and all those various fun things. But so there's still a number of different options where the sea could go. But we are finding, let's say, progression in Marsh for sure at this point.
Oh, definitely. Ooh, scums have poison.
Oh man, they're just really mocking us today.
And
all the
are
sweepers.
unrunnable.
Yeah, so Marsh living up to its reputation here.
I mean, when Nintendo Power tells you buy 99 potions, even when this game is a little slow, that says something, folks. Although I still want to see someone actually do an enemy, the actual enemy mod to make the mucks actually mucks.
So a small adjustment that I'm hoping Thundercloud makes is just moving the Thor Hammer onto someone who can't cast Harm, as Harm is going to be his best sweeper through Marsh, and having 2 people who can cast sweepers will increase his chance of getting turn order to clear out some of these mobs.
And I have to say, this early game, Shadow, literally the counter table, there is no hero run at all right now.
So for Steel Golem, who's showing up in chat saying he missed a bunch, I'll give a quick recap. So we basically have no magic, no sweeping magic. We have a lot of good stuff, but we have Warp, we have Brack, we have Fast, but we do not have a good sweeper other than Harm 3. And this is an all-mage party as we are in the brackets, and that means the draft is always happening. These runners ran around a little bit, got a crown, got a TNT, but ultimately that just turned into not much that is available to them right now. So Marsh is required for progression, and we have already found some nasty stuff down here.
This is not to mention that they found a bottle, and they turned to the crown. Oh, and they have the ruby, so they'll be able to actually feed the Titan.
Yeah. We've also found 2 loose already. So we found the hammer in Toph, and we found the loot in Lucent Dwarf. So that loose loot can be very problematic, but in this case, it was in a nice, easy-to-get location.
And I have to add the fact of what we've seen so far. It's going to be interesting on that one. And fun fact, we just found a crap load of money and a cabin.
We also found that ghouls have glance. So this marsh is just not a nice place to be. And once again, softs were over $1,000. So...
I mean, this is one of those times when... But lucky Thundercloud, he bought 2 softs, or he found 2, and... scums.
Yeah, so luck is one word to use to describe it, but also being well prepared. Thundercloud had some money early, as Toph and Matoya both had a boatload of cash. And Thundercloud just playing around with the encounter
neck and neck
here.
again. Let's see. Getting lucky and only having to deal with 1 arachnid, unlike the party pack that Thundercloud had to deal with. But let's see where this will take us.
Yeah, so Thundercloud only needs to check the bottom 2 chests still. Well, Silver has a few more, but yeah, these runners holding hands at this point. Levels are about the same, money's about the same, gear's about the same. It's all going to be who gets, a good run through Marsh first, because unfortunately that's what it is going to come down to here. There is so much danger down here, a lot of it unrunnable, and there's not a lot of options for them. The only thing I do like that Sylverfyre is doing here is that they don't have the Thor Hammer on their White Mage. So they can clear a little faster.
They did buy stops, so that is very good because it's time elemental, so it can and will, basically it will paralyze the enemy, and it has a good chance of hitting this early on. So it can actually save you some time and lets you actually, get through these encounters. Cabin and a little bit of money.
So it looks like the progression is on the bottom part of Marsh, which is unfortunate. For those of you who played the vanilla game, you'll notice that the runners are going to skip the chests on Marsh 2, and going one floor below the starting floor, and that's because those chests are linked, so they don't need to check them.
I mean, I could see, technically, I forget which chest it is, but the one that's got the one that had like over 10k in money, I could see them picking that one up just because it's that much, that much money. We haven't found the vendor item yet, and looks like we're neck and neck again.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre warped out to save that money, so not 100% necessary now to open that exact link chest, but yeah, that is something that you'll see some veteran runners doing. They'll actually check the chest sometimes once in a while on the way up first, and then they'll just reset out, and people will be like, oh no, they forgot that they need to reset out, but then they'll grab it on their way down, and that's a real veteran move.
Yes, it is. And the ghouls and zombies. This getting through the farm 3, or was that 4? Either way, their brains are safe for today.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know if Sylverfyre picked up a silver sword like Thundercloud did. So that is another nice thing that he has.
I don't know, but we also have the World Trucker Wolves on here. So this will be interesting to see that one. And Sylverfyre dealing with some zombies and ghouls on their side as well. Brains! Brains!
Yeah, it's an interesting play by the zombies to trying to turn them to stone first before they can eat their brains. Fire also, trying to get them cooked, and Sylverfyre getting their first taste of, just how nasty this marsh cave is.
Yeah, zombies having that one. Yeah, they do like to eat their brains today. Stunning them, all that stuff like that. More money in Marsh. Let's see, we have more money. Not that much, but Flame Sword!
Yeah, the Flame Sword, a nice pickup. So we do have fixed weapon bonuses, so the Flame Sword is actually effective against things, but it's also just a good mid-game sword, and going to let these unpromoted red mages swing just a little bit harder.
Swing, 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 swing. And, ew, those Arbodes, Bodes, Creeps, they are just not letting Thundercloud have turn order at all.
Yeah, there's those ones, not the absolute worst thing you can run into here, but we've seen already Poison Mucks. We've seen that Ghost Pack, or not Ghost, but Undead Pack be super nasty. So there's definitely a few things here that these runners do not want to run into and are hoping to either run away from quickly or get some turn order on. And Arbones, Bones, and Crawls are actually one of the things they're looking for at this point.
I will add that Thundercloud did something smart. They actually bought the Pure Spell just to help with some money on that one, and Sylverfyre learning to see how bad it is for the actual one party back. Although buying a Pro Ring early does help, and we found the canal.
Yeah, so Thundercloud finding the canal in the top right, and still does have 2 warp charges here, so it will be able to get out. Sylverfyre basically on an informational dive at this point, is that White Mage does not have warp, and it's very unlikely that they will get out alive, but trying to check a few chests so they don't have to later.
Most definitely, and with that, around 20 minutes in, Thundercloud is the first one of our runners to escape with the canal. So, I know where they're going next!
Yeah, so it's open. Hell yeah, they're gonna go turn in the ruby for sure. But we've opened up 3 town locations, as we do have extended northern progression on, which does add a dock to the vanilla on-rack location. We also do have Melmond and Crescent Lake. So they'll be able to check 3 more towns, as if they find the vanilla Crescent Lake, they'll be able to get an incentive item. If they find Gaia, they'll be able to turn the bottle in. They're also looking for Elflin for some spells. And finally, we have the ruby turn-in for 2 key items, which is exactly what Magus was pointing out is a fantastic idea at this point. So we'll be seeing all of that shortly.
Not only that, but we do also have the extended southern progression, so you do have access to both Ice Cave and the Gerdu Volcano once they find the canoe. So you'll have to access to it already, but there's a little shortcut, rather than having to go around the long way.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre, getting a taste of their own medicine in in Marsh for a little bit here, but they'll
And
be
let's
out
see-
of here eventually.
Ooh.
We found Lefane in Melmond. Not exactly what you're looking for without the slab and no Melmond to translate it, but that's something that they'll keep a tab on for later.
Now, here's the question. Although I doubt they will dive it yet, I do think we might see at least one of them check the top 4 chests in Earth.
Yeah, not only checking the top 4 chests in Earth for that remaining loose, but also getting a good opportunity to find some grind tiles there, as there are 3 distinct spike tiles on
I'll
Earth
also
1.
add Thundercloud turning in the Ruby much to our favorite Titan. And ooh, Pro Cave. Ooh, we found our 3rd loose.
No, that was an incentive opal.
You're right.
There.
You are right. You're right.
So
Incentive location. My bad on that one.
Yeah, so, but the opal bracelet actually even more important than it would be in some states. So the opal bracelet often considered, oh, just the opal Cheerio, not something that I exactly want. But in this all mage party, that is going to provide the best possible evade for these party members, as they won't have access to late game armor.
Hey, chat. Did you see what Zardia gave us?
Yep, we have the slab, and the slab, of course, will be turnable in Lefane, but the slab actually just lets you speak Elfish. First, you need someone to translate it for you, and that would be in Melmond. Dr. something. I can't remember exactly what his name is.
Oon. Dr.
Yes.
Oon. And yes, if I recall correctly, it is an Indiana Jones reference, if I recall correctly. Though I could be thinking of Star Tropics. Either way, it is a reference to that one, to some degree.
So Thundercloud is going to make that Earth play here. We've seen this be very impactful at times. If you find a good grind, it could be huge. If you find a loose item, that would be absolutely huge. That would be his 3rd and final loose item.
And ooh, not taking advantage of this mummy pack, although they are susceptible to harm 3, and any halfway decent undead pack is actually grindable at this point. So if you find like some mummies, some whiz vamps, some vamps, you have harm 3. That is essentially, enough to actually grind a little bit on them. Let's see, some more money, not a lot of money. Checking the grind tile. Water and Nagas.
So they're debating taking this, yeah, because of the fact that they have the Thor hammer. But those Nagas could have a ton of HP, and that fight is going to hit hard. So a little bit outside of what you're looking for. I think they'd rather see, a bunch of sharks.
Very true. And over on Sylverfyre's side, picking up their canal.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre, happy to find that. Gonna try and get out here. Actually, I'm surprised. I really hope that they cast Warp here. Oh, no.
No.
I don't know why they didn't cast Warp. That's a really big potential mistake there. They may still have not checked a chest or two, but I think with that canal and knowing how dangerous this is, they, I think they may have just taken a couple steps and immediately regret it. So we'll have to see the adjustment here. Now, the nice thing is they do have some information, so they will just be able to walk straight across to get that chest. But
I might add Thundercloud getting out of the Earth Cave, and as a positive note, and also taking advantage of the Venice hospitality, which is something, it's one of the flags on that one, and it's also one of the good ones. And not only got the Opal Cheerio from the Titan, but also the slab, and also finding a Pro Cape in the Earth Cave, the first 4 there.
Okay, so Mechalink pointing out that they only had 1 charge, and I was wondering about this, because when they warped out of the top floor, I was like, oh, they burned off 2 of their 3 warp charges. However, because it's a black mage spell, I knew that their red mages would have been able to learn it, but they may be too low level at this point.
Ew, Scorpions have lit too.
Oh man, just everything in Marsh is deadly here, and Sylverfyre just not having a good time of it in here.
I'd say just grind a little bit, go for it, and just go from there. And looks like Thundercloud actually headed towards Onrak.
Yeah, so getting these towns out of the way early, trying to find basically Crescent Lake Gaia or Elfland. These are all, at this point actually, this town has to be one of those 3, and any of those 3 are going to be great progression for Thundercloud, so that's what's paying off here. We also still are looking for a shop item.
I mean, technically, this could be Melmond. They do have the slab.
Yeah. Melmond would also still be progression at this point, so all
Yes, it
4
would.
remaining towns have something to offer to them. Basically, Elfland's just great because you get a bunch of spells, and everything else has a key item either in it or in a chain. So Gaia, we're going to be able to talk to our fairy friend.
However, I will add that I'm surprised Thundercloud isn't checking spells, but does remember they can sell that opal shield.
Yeah, with this party, spells, you will have access to those level 7 and 8 spells.
Whoa! Max money! Max money! But insanely good on the housing market, but they want that promotion. They gotta pay the max price.
Yeah, that's not too bad, because they'll be able to come back here easily enough, although Onrak is a little bit of a walk from the floater. But Tail, not required until you get the floater anyways, so that's something they can come back to when they have a boatload of cash.
Yep, but, oh god. Oh god! They found the crowbar, aka the rod.
Yeah, so the rod is an interesting item pickup here, because we talked a lot about this tri-state movement option, and that really does make it more likely for the canoe or the floater to be loose. And finding any early dungeon items like the rod here really makes you wonder, do I need to check out Earth Cave all the ways down, or do I go to Mirage with that chime? At this point, we do know that there's going to be an incentive location available in Crescent Lake, and that's kind of the last location Thundercloud will go. But then we'll have to see where he decides to go next.
I would personally, I might add that I also picked up a lot of houses because they were really good, really cheap. Also, Sylverfyre, hopefully they make it through the actual Marsh Cave again. But since Thundercloud can actually start abusing houses and save scum, we'll be able to actually start, I won't say grinding, but to find anything good, they can actually take down an enemy pack or two, just, waste some spells and just heal up and get all the spells back, which will probably be useful considering our spell situation.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Getting some levels, early levels are always worth more than late levels.
And so, Crescent Lake, is this even randomized?
Yeah, so finding Crescent Lake here, definitely a nice pickup. Gonna get a loose item, but not really solving their spell problem. This does mean that Elfland and Melmond are going to be floater locked.
Oh god, that's really bad. Ooh, gold bracelets though for not that bad of a price. I've seen them higher, I've seen them lower, but also chainmail. That's useful. That is a spicy pickup for the actual red mages. It's got 8 absorb at the cost of a little bit of evade.
Chainmail, I believe it's 12, but
oh, we found heal 2, and how about 3 of your sweeping spells are level 6?
Yeah, so level 6 magic, not exactly what you're looking for, especially with 2 red mages. Levels 3, 4, and 5 are all going to be locked behind that floater. But it is at least something.
Also, the old men were basically stoned because they gave Thundercloud a giant hunk of rock. A giant, giant metallic actual piece of rock.
So the adamant, interesting, because this is going to make Thundercloud maybe lean a little bit more towards going to Earth over Mirage. Also, Earth is full clearable, which is another key consideration, but Earth is long, and the difference between full clearing Earth and partially clear and go moding Earth is huge. I think it's probably the second biggest difference after Sky. So that is one dungeon you don't really want to full clear if you don't have to, but the proximity check is going to make it very tempting.
It is, but you have no sweeping spells, so I could see the hold off with that one, just to probably check the front end of Sky, just hoping for, say, a Bane Sword or something like that, because you have no sweeping spells for that one. Let's see, we have, floater.
Okay, so that floater means that the canoe is loose, so the Tri-State's rearing their ugly head. I guess they're technically... No, I think at this point it does need to be loose, as the canoe blocks all 3 other incentive locations, and yeah, so we do have a loose canoe.
Canoe right now only blocks ordeals.
And waterfall and ice cave, as we do not have extended southern progression on, so we are not able to turn the floater in with just...
Oh, you are right. You are right. You are right on that one, and also that would be just standard open progression if I recall correctly. At least last time I was on the alpha site. I don't know if that's changed, if it's different on the normal site, but either way, let's see what we got for tiles. A Gurpede, not bad. It is the enhanced version of the actual, normal Pedes, which there's a nickname for them. They're called Expedias for a reason.
Yeah, but they're going to be quite difficult for Thunder to take down at this point. So it looks like they're going to be reverting to going after that water tile to try and get a few levels. At this point, Thundercloud knows that Earth is in the play. He knows he needs to find a loose item. He actually has all the information he needs. This is the other really nice thing about finding those 2 early loose items, is he knows that once he finds this loose canoe, he's going to have all the information he needs, and he's just going to need to clear out the rest of the incentive locations until he gets his go mode.
And also taking a nice play of going for some of his 2s, trying to get a stop off. Hopefully that'll work on that one, so making it easy for them to survive. Missing on that one, taking a bunch of damage. One of those red maces is down. So let's see, getting out another Viz 2, so hopefully the entire party here will survive.
Yeah, so Thundercloud, being a veteran player here, knows that going into Earth with this low-level party is going to be very dangerous for a number of reasons. 1, you're going to need more levels, or more levels for survivability, but 2, you also have limited spell charges, especially with 2 red mages, as they get spell charges a little bit slower than the black mages and white mages. So we'll have to see what he does here.
Opting to realize, once they realize that the Nagas and the Waters rolled a little higher, decided to nope out. So also opting to Thorhammer those Waterrucker Wolves, if I may pull out the old meme for that one. So let's see what we got from here.
Yeah, and so Bardic Knowledge pointing out in chat, it's either Earth or Mirage at this point, and that is correct. Thundercloud about to give us our first look at some of the chests here on the 2nd floor of Earth. The deeper we go, the more dangerous it gets, as eventually you get deep enough where it may be safer to go down than up, depending on how many charges of Warp he has.
Not just that, but it also depends on... Well, they do have Harm 3, so... And especially on 3 casters, so which one is an option, as they will have the ability to possibly take them down. They'll just need to literally go... Oh, I missed that. Fade is at level 6.
Oh, okay. What slot?
Bottom slot.
Bottom slot of Crescent will be learnable. So both of them, that's not a bad slot for Fade to show up and given, this stage of the game, but they'd have to get a lot of levels in order to start casting that. Less on the white mage, and it is white mage learnable, but still not exactly the sweeper that you want just because of the level.
And as a positive note, Sylverfyre actually managed to have enough money to pick up Fade in at least Fire 3, I think. Or was it 2? It was one of the sweep spells in Black Magic.
Yeah, so that will definitely come in handy. Now, we'll have to see where Sylverfyre goes next, though. I anticipate that they will check Vanilla Onrak first, as Vanilla Onrak, at this point, as we were mentioning earlier, guaranteed to have something. So,
very, very true. Very, very true.
So Thundercloud already have lost someone in Earth, but continuing to dive deeper, and every bit of information, very valuable.
Very true. They will have access to the vampire chest. They will probably, if they think they can survive the beginning part of Earth 4, will probably check the one room that has 5 chests in it if they can get to it.
Oh, at this point, there's no way Thunder is leaving without checking all the chests in here. Unless he wipes. So, yeah, they'll check the quote-unquote Earth Armory, which is at the top of Earth 4, and then also a few chests in the bottom left of Earth 4.
I will also add that Sylverfyre, putting the fact that they were able to get some magic to their advantage to pick up a level or 2 here, found a good encounter, managed to get a few things from there, so we'll go from there.
Yeah. So a note, Lich is a fairly early game enemy, or early game boss, being the first kind of major boss in the game. Does have relatively low magic resist, but unfortunately resists Brack. So for those of you who love Brack and the Kraken or Brack and the Tia, not going to work so well against Lich. The insta-death spell of choice against Lich is going to be Quake. As, Quad X also not going to work as Lich is kind of already dead. And Poison, not so good against ghosts.
I mean, I will add that having Harm 3, Thundercloud will probably just Harm 3, Harm 3, Harm 3, and hopefully having like the second most powerful undead killing spell in the game. Well, let me rephrase it. That targets specifically undead, you'll probably see that happening.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre getting the bad news that the floater is there, and we'll have to see what they decide to do next. I don't think they've checked on-rack still, so we'll have to see if they decide to go first, or if they go straight into Earth, or go into Mirage.
I think probably they will. Let's see, will they turn left? They will turn left. Do they turn up? They do not.
Yeah, so this is looking like an on-rack play. Now, this is really interesting, actually. Because of the routing differences, Sylverfyre is actually going to be very close to Mirage, as compared to Thundercloud, who is very close to Earth, when they kind of realize the bad news that they're going to be dungeon diving for their canoe. We'll have to see where Sylverfyre goes next. Mirage is a little unfortunate, but it's also a good place to get some levels. Not that they have much to get levels with in terms of magic. It's also a quicker check. It's not exactly safer, but its shortness makes it safer. So what I mean by that is Thundercloud could get all the ways down here and take an unfortunate wipe, which is looking... Yep.
No.
And now this makes this recheck super, super long, versus wipes in Mirage are much faster. And if you only need to check the first floor, which could be checked with just a nice long run, and then the less than greater than room, which could be easily warped out of, Mirage actually could be a faster check and a safer one, even with it being a higher level dungeon.
Very true. I still think it's probably smart enough to pick up some of those levels, go back, and go from there.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre getting the bad news that the tail is for sale. The tail, of course, being a nice pickup, but not exactly what you're looking for when you're looking for progression. You can pick up the tail much later.
Very true, but finding their rod, or as I like to just call it, the crowbar, because, you know, it's like, put rod in, you're still making it into a fulcrum, and essentially, you know, either doing that, or you're essentially just shoving it underneath and just frying it up.
So actually, something interesting here is that Gaia, that Quake spell is available for that black mage.
Oh, that's
it's just
horrible. Life 2 at level 8.
And Ice 3.
As a positive note, it is the first slot in level 8. So, although it won't be Red Mage learnable, you know, White Wizard can buy it. It will help. They will have access to it, although they will have very few charges on it. But it is an option for the late game.
Yeah, at this point it's very likely that we do have a life spell at level 3, 4, or 5, so life most likely life will guaranteed be available because of the fact we have a white wizard, or white mage, a floater, and a tail, and the canoe is going to be required to beat the seed, but you definitely want some charges a little earlier than level 8.
Actually, we have not seen on-rack spells. Life could still be at level 7.
That is true.
Although we do know that Cure 1 is also at level 8, so that does take out the worst of the healing options, but that's a side note on that one.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Heal 3. We've already found Cure 4, so... Oh no, we haven't found Cure 4 yet, so...
No, we
yeah,
have
still
not.
looking for some good healing options. Thundercloud about to take on the Vampire.
And this time it is not a speed bump.
No, the Vampire a little scary. Ice not going to do much to it, but the Vampire goes down. Silver Sword doing some work, or Flame Sword actually I think is what that Red Mage is casting.
The one that's alive is definitely got the Flame Sword. Since the one of them's down, you are... Whoever was wielding it, basically the other one's wielding it now. If the one that was alive was already wielding it, then they kept wielding it. If not, they picked it up from their fallen comrade.
So Sylverfyre has made their decision, and they're going to do Earth as well. This play makes sense, because the key difference here, of course, is that if you're going into Mirage, you're basically saying, I'm going to double dip Mirage, because the cube cannot be in there, which means even if you find the canoe, which would be huge, that means you have to go there twice. Versus if you find the canoe, you're super pleased. But if the canoe's not there, you're basically saying, I'm going to sail all the ways there, walk all the ways there, walk all the ways back, and I know that I'm going to be doing that twice. Versus Earth, yes, you're full clearing it, but on the bright side, you're going to get an orblet out of it. And even worst case scenario, and you figure out the canoe's not here, you know that you can say, hey, at least I accomplished something, and then go to Mirage and get your canoe.
Also, so far we have not seen the actual canoe in any of the locations of that one. So let's see where we're going from there.
These are the last chests that Thundercloud has not checked. So if it's not in these chests here, these 3 chests, then he will know that he has to go to Mirage, and that will make Sylverfyre's decision a little bit more unfortunate, although not at all incorrect decision.
Okay, it wasn't the canoe, but it was something very useful.
Yeah,
the Bane Sword.
The Bane Sword, not usually something that people get excited about, but it is something that is very helpful when you're lacking sweepers. Bane being a poison type, not going to be very effective against Lich, but it is a good way to like kind of have a chance to get out of some mobs. Now, Thundercloud is going to take on Licher, and I agree with this decision. The reason I agree with it is because that was not the canoe. Now, if that was the canoe, this would be a little bit riskier, as now you have to go all the ways back down here if you wipe. But because it's not the canoe, he knows that he doesn't have to dive back down. If he kills it, great. If he wipes, oh well, he'll have to come back and full clear Earth later, but it's better than doing it now.
Well, won't even need to full clear it, and if you do see them run, let's see, opting for Thorhammer, going for Brack on these giants, ineffective, Brack again, managed to shatter them to pieces, Thorhammer on the giant. I'm surprised they haven't actually tried to pull out the Bane Sword.
Yeah, Brack's gonna have less or a higher hit chance than Bane. So I think the Bane Sword is on the Black Mage there at the bottom, so it's just a little bit, higher percentage chance, and they're not going to be using those spell charges on Lich anyways.
No, we'll see. Harm 3, Harm 3, Harm 3. Well, Harm 3, Harm 3. Thorhammer goes on the Black Mage because of damage outputs. Let's see. Okay, Thorhammer, Harm 3, and fast! Opting for the attack. Hopefully getting off. And I can understand that completely on that one, though. Decent hit from Lich, 72 damage. Opting for Thorhammer, fire. So Thorhammer, Harm 3. Let's see the swing here. We got 4 hits, 11, 1 damage. Harm 3 coming out, 156 damage. Opting for another Thor arm and a swing. Swing for 4 hits, 121. Sorry. Swing 55 from Thor. Harm 3 comes out, 75 damage. This Lich is actually rolling a little high.
Yeah, the Flame Sword actually being very effective here. Remember how I said previously that the weapon fixes were on. That Flame Sword doing extra damage to Lich, as the first level fiends are vulnerable to a type.
Oh, I might add, Lich cast fast.
Oh, so good thing they got out of there alive.
They got out of dodge. So first orb lit around, 45 minutes in? So they know it's Mirage. They at least managed to leave with the Bane Sword, which is a positive thing. Spellcasting item. And it'll be a decent weapon, once they promote.
Yeah, at this point, leaving with an Orblet and the information you require is a big win. So Thundercloud's not going to be happy that he made the decision to go to Earth first, but getting that Orblet does make it all a little bit more worthwhile. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre is really just we're going to have to see how successful they are as they delve Marsh for a good extra, 10 minutes or so. Dying. So if Sylverfyre gets a little bit more luck here on Earth, they could make up some time.
I can say this much: they will probably feel behind due to how bad that Marsh Cave was.
So Orange Strip, welcome to the Final Fantasy Randomizer. This is where we basically take the vanilla Final Fantasy game and shuffle up a lot of different things. We've shuffled up where your incentive items are, how you beat the game. We've shuffled up, what skills and spells different enemies have. And there's lots of fun times to be had, so feel free to check out. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask them in chat. Right now, Thundercloud is looking for the loose canoe, and the canoe is going to open up the rest of the progression.
And since they have the time, they will be checking out Mirage. While Sylverfyre, I wouldn't call it a speed bump today, but opting for Harm 3 and 2 stops, but gets the Vampire down at a single Harm 3, is now at level 10. While Thundercloud is basically saving and then going forward on that one.
Yeah, so Thundercloud is going to basically be doing what I was previously mentioning about Mirage. So Mirage is the 4th key dungeon in the game. And being the 4th Fiend dungeon, it does have higher level enemies that hit harder and are a little bit scarier. Now with spells and skills shuffled, it actually kind of does the inverse. The later game enemies tend to be a little bit less scary than they are in the vanilla game, as they don't have their scary skills and spells. Instead, the early game enemies might. However, that doesn't make this any less dangerous. But the one bright side of this, these walks are relatively short. So as long as you get a couple critical runs, you can check a number of chests and then just warp out and save up and do it again.
More money, money, soft potion. So far, it's looking like it. And right now, this is just purely information because they're down to 2 light warriors. You're setting out, they only have a handful of chests left to check here. So let's see. More money. More money. Pro ring.
Yeah, so I hope they warp out with that pro ring, because that's definitely going to be valuable. Yep. Going to warp out, and lots of charges available. Save up, and they're going to be diving onto less than greater than. So Mirage 2 has a room called less than greater than, which is a bunch of chests, and you will see shortly why it is named that.
And I'm positive right now Thundercloud feels behind because they are last locationing the canoe.
They probably feel a little bit behind, but it was a 50-50 shot, and a lot of runners, I mean, Sylverfyre, another, veteran runner, also made the decision to do Earth first, so at this point it's a little bit confusing. You also know that Mirage was a grind. I think at this point you have no idea where you're standing relative to your opponent.
Also, Sylverfyre, apparently the wizards have frost.
Ooh, that is not a nice thing to run into, and Sylverfyre, I really hope that they manage to open up the remainder of the chests on Earth 4, as they will just nope out, and that will be all the information that they need. If they do not manage to open these bottom 3, I'll be very curious to see if they leave, or if they decide that those 3 chests are worth it. I think they'll make the decision that those 3 chests are worth it, but it's going to be a really long, painful walk.
They are down to 1 party member. Hopefully they'll get away, though at the same point I will... If this fight is... Nope, immediately go into that Thor hammer. I do not blame them. I do not blame them at all. But, yeah. So we will see a dive again. Cerberus is opting for some Brack strats on Thundercloud side. Thor, Bane Sword, are they susceptible to Bane? Let's see if they can be broken into pieces. That's a positive thing on that one. So another Brack on that one. So this will actually be a decent amount of EXP. Poison Snow comes out and actually works. A Brack and for him or another Brack. So as a positive note, these Cerberuses can go down to Brack. They aren't, all time, but as I said, that's a decent chunk of EXP.
Yeah, they're not weak to poison, but they also don't resist it. So Cerberus, you're going to be able to get a little bit of levels there. These Catmen, on the other hand, not what you want to be dealing with, but looks like Brack will be tried anyways.
Let's hope they have Thunder.
Now, on the bright side, they have already found the floater, so once they get this canoe, they will immediately be able to get in the air and go to Elfland. And Elfland is going to have all the goods for them. So this quad mage strat is going to get a lot easier, around the 1 hour mark. But this first hour has been very difficult. Sylverfyre's, I'm not even sure if they've made worse decisions or if they've just had a little bit worse luck, but they just had a very tough time in both Marsh and Earth, and that's really been the tail of the seed so far.
A little bit of worse luck, I'd say. Not the terrible decisions, though. I think they might feel behind because of how bad things have been on that one. And Thundercloud manages to get those Catmen down, picking up some levels. Let's see. Crystal! You were saying?
So we're going to have to go a little further, but that crystal will eventually lead to the canoe. It could be crystal to herb. Oh, wow. This really having all the goods. So the dragon armor, the best armor in the game, the Aegis shield, the best shield in the game. None of it is any use because we don't have a knight. But also getting a critical ribbon, and the ribbon, of course, granting resistance to all elements, and that is huge for the Temple of Fiends Revisited run, as there can be insta-spells left, right, and center there, and losing any party member can be very expensive, especially if it's your life caster.
I might add that with that crystal pickup, we now know where all the loose items are. They've all been found. So, as a positive, any chests checked after this are going to be surely just because you want to find equipment.
Yes. And with this mage party and the first ribbon being found, equipment is not nearly as important. Now, there is one exception to that, and that is the Masa. And the Masa is going to be a very, very big pickup in this seed. The other one actually is, interestingly enough, the Vorpal, as the Vorpal would be another good late game option for getting through a beefy chaos. However, none of them are necessarily going to be required, so we'll have to see how many more chests they open up, as Mage is not known for needing tons of gear.
Hey, let's put it this way. At the same point, Vorpal and Masa, literally, they're going to be picked up if they can be found. You have no sweeping spells on that one so far. However, with level 3, 4, and 5 magic left, we have not seen Nuke.
Yeah, I was just about to point out, yeah, Nuke is very likely. I can't remember if we checked all the magic shops, but I think Nuke is almost certainly level 3, 4, 5 at this point.
We have not checked 2 shops that have level 7 and 8 magic. Yeah. We have not seen Lefane, and we have not seen the actual spells in Gaia.
That all being said, we did have...
Sorry, not Gaia, Anrak.
We did have Red Wizard Learnable Fade at level 6, so not a ton of charges available, but there will be some non-elemental sweeper available. Oh my goodness, they're just going to keep teasing us here. So we have the Herb from Matoya, going to be going to the Elf Prince in its vanilla location, the Elf Castle. So towns are shuffled, but the Elf Castle counts kind of like an entrance, a dungeon entrance, so it is not. So Thundercloud will be getting his canoe shortly, as there is literally no other item it could be at this point.
And Sylverfyre, are you going to walk this out? Picking up the Bane Sword, backtracking a little bit. I don't know if they're deciding to go for it or not. We'll see.
I expect Sylverfyre to make the same decision Thunder made, which is that I might as well try it. Warping out's not really saving me anything other than a Bane Sword, which isn't really worth it. And killing Lich saves me a walk down here later, so...
Let's see, Herb into the canoe, as we knew it had to be there. So they'll be in the air about an hour in, as you said. So this will be interesting. First place you go. As soon as you get to the canoe, gotta try to remember the map location. You're a bit off from there. You'll probably see Thunder immediately just head straight south, because they'll world map wrap around to the Gaia location and immediately check to see if that's Elfland.
I think, yeah, you check the 2 towns, because the 2 towns have A, an incentive location, and B, Elfland, which should help provide you with everything you need in terms of sweepers. And then after that, there's a few more interesting decisions to be made. You can go promote, which is something that they may want to do even before they go and check. Now, the reason you might promote before you go and check is because if Elfland is in Lefane, and there's good level 4 magic in the 4th slot, it's going to save you a trip to go get your red mage or your red wizard that magic. But we going straight to Guy here.
Yep, we found it. Which means Melmon's there. Ice 2 and Zap at level 3. Not the best sweepers.
No. Zap is interesting because Zap is time, and nothing in the game resists time other than chaos. So it is basically a low % chance to kill anything. Not consistent or reliable, but it is something.
I mean, the only reason why chaos is effective is life level 3 and harm level 3 as well, along with wall.
Yeah, so white magic's stacked for level 3, but that all is good things that Thunder is definitely happy to find. So harm 4 not available to these red wizards or red mages, but that's not going to be a big issue at this point.
Nope, at this point it's like, no, you don't need it. Life is definitely something to be picked up. Let's see, we have Exit, Cure 4 at level 4, and Fog 2.
So this is exactly the situation I was talking about, although it's not nearly so bad with it being in Gaia, as it's a much quicker flyback, but that Cure 4 is going to be Red Wizard learnable, but they'll have to come back.
We found Nuke! But this is horrible for them. Those Red Wizards now have to decide, are you going to heal, or are you going to damage?
I don't think it's that bad. The red Wizards are going to learn Nuke, Ruse, and Cure 4. And they'll be pretty happy about that. You only really need 1 exit caster because you have Warp as well.
Oh, that is very true on that one. But what I mean by that is, oh god. Sylverfyre, please, just leave it alone. I don't mean that negatively. It's just they took another wipe.
I'm interested to see why they're diving back in at this point. I believe they've checked all four. I think they've checked all the chests.
I believe they have 2.
Oh, they didn't check 2? Okay, I didn't see exactly when they wiped. I just saw them on Earth 4 for the second time and assumed, but...
They have checked all the chests. I don't know why they were diving back in, but for that slab we found Melmond. And why the Zozo Melmond flag isn't on, I do not know, because that's one of the best ones on. They're one of the best flags around. Let's see, slab, learn a language in under a second.
Yeah, so Melman, nice because you do find Dr. Un, PhD, as I've been informed. And that will allow you to go talk to the Elvish people in Lefane to go get a key item there.
Has Thundercloud bought the sold the dragon armor and the Aegis yet? But also Expert at level 5. That's going to be very useful. And Temper.
Yeah, I think the critical spell in level 5 is heal 3 as well, as that is something that will let them heal their party against, large scale non-elemental AoEs. But X for interesting for kind of meme strategies. You can try and X for Chaos to remove his magic resistances, and then you can try and brack him. But that's more of a backup strat. Now, that backup strat / meme strat with an all-mage party could apply if we do not find anything to swing. But we have Fast and Temper. I don't anticipate it will come to that.
I will add, X4 works great on Chaos. And I believe it was either Crabcakes or Cheeseinator that has been cheeky enough to buy and use Mute on Chaos. Expiring and then actually muting it. Oh god. Sylverfyre. Please. Please.
Okay, Sylverfyre deciding to leave, and that is the best play for them at this point. But, oh man, this has just been an extremely tough race for Sylverfyre at this point. All mages, no magic to speak of, and just having a really tough time of it. Their level situation was not that much worse than Thundercloud's. I think they were maybe 2 levels lower, and it's just been a really rough go for them.
I think going in, they were... Sorry about that. Were actually like 2 levels higher at the time. But Ice Cave play for Thundercloud. Let's see what we got today.
Yeah, so Thundercloud knows that of the 3 incentive dungeons, 2 of them are going to be required at minimum, because the only non-essential item that we have not yet found is the Power Bonk. But the Power Bonk is probably something they want to pick up anyways, so it's very likely that we'll be seeing all 4 remaining key items found, which are the Power Bonk, the Oxyale, which grants access to Sea Shrine, the Cube, which lets you go higher in Sky, and the Key, which, although it doesn't seem essential, is actually needed to open a door in Topher. Thundercloud getting a lot of satisfaction here, finally being able to cast Nuke, finally being able to take out some enemies, finally being able to get some levels. So that's gotta feel good. Oh, and Syl is going back to Marsh? Did they leave chests behind here?
I think they might have left 1 to 2.
Oh no.
Oh god.
So Sylverfyre just refusing to go to Mirage, and this is just going to keep putting them further and further behind until they eventually have no other choice but to go there. But this is a play that is not going to pay off, unfortunately.
Oxyale!
Finding the Oxyale in Ice. No need to go deeper at this point, as once again, I've mentioned this before, but mage parties not really that reliant on gear. With level 4 Nuke, they're going to have quite a few casts, and if Topher is fairly papered, they'll be able to get through. They also have multiple casters of Invis 2, as well as Fast and Temper, so even if Chaos is a bit beefy, they'll have the ability to kind of grind them out.
Very true.
Yeah, Gwitty and Knight asking in chat, is there a level they should be aiming for? Yeah, so Ragnarok answering 30s. Well, we've seen runners go in much lower, we've seen runners go in much higher, but Nuke's maximum roll is 400, and that is what they'll generally be aiming to get at least their life casters up to. But in like a more aggressive party, like if you have promoted knights with fast and Masa, there's times where they will go in at level 24 and just hope that they can survive.
I hate to interrupt you, but look at what the actual tile was for Marsh. Blocking the actual one chest, would be the normal crown location.
Yeah, so we have Sarias here, and Saria is going to be pretty good EXP. They are not quite the EXP pinatas that their close cousins, the Agamos, are. However, not going to have much ability to take them down except for Brock. And Brock, not the highest percent chance. They also did not, unfortunately, save their Bane Sword. So this is going to be a bit of a slog here, but going to get some good levels here.
Very true, very true. I mean, I don't think either runner, this is the first time we will actually see the Marsh, the original crown chest, because I don't think either of them checked this. So, oddly enough, this could have been the canoe, or this could have been the progression here.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre is not going to be grinding this, but after they check this chest, we'll see some warp outs, and then we will have to see what their next play is. But at this point, I think it has to be Mirage.
Yep. Although Copper Bracelet isn't bad, but warping out, they're going to feel really behind now. Budgalls, that one, managing to get away. So let's see what we have today. Badman!
Yeah, the Copper Bracelet providing a pitiful 4 absorb is not exactly something that you want to be diving all the ways down there, but at least getting a few levels with those Saria is not the worst thing in the world.
This is actually good. Badman are going down to a single nuke. This is actually a decent grindable fight. As Badmen usually are in Chaos. Is this even randomized?
Also, at this point, we know that life is Red Mage learnable, so that White Mage is a little bit expendable, so we'll see if Thundercloud keeps them down. I expect them to at this point.
Opting to warp out and completely understand, although the Badman is a good grind tile, opting to not do that one, while Sylverfyre is now going to Mirage.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre finally going where they need to go. However, they have lost a lot of time on Thundercloud at this point, and don't even have their Earth Orb lit. So they're going to have to hope that Thundercloud runs into an absolutely brutal something at some point. The most likely thing being the Fiend refights in Temple of Fiends Revisited, as the 4 mages are going to be a little bit squishier than you would like going into that.
I mean, unless we find the Masa, but going back, going to talk to the finish now. Let's see what they give us today. We know it has to be progression, so today is going to be Power Bonk!
Okay, so this makes sense, and the reason he checked this first was because if the Power Bonk was in Ordeals, and this was the key instead, he could skip Ordeals. And Ordeals is quite a long dungeon, not in terms of like length of time it takes to go through it, but also in terms of having to walk there and back. But at this point, Thundercloud has all the information that he requires, knowing that the key is going to be given to him in Ordeals. So going to go do that last check, buy his tail, go promote, and then he will just be able to fly through the rest of the seed. So he's been in no mode, as we call it, for a while, but about to enter go mode.
I mean, definitely one of those things that honestly you can go get. It's just, you're going to see him still check chests. He's hoping for a Master, he's hoping for a Vorpal, and he's hoping for at least some better, gear on those red mages. Because, I don't know about you, but the old joke about Ice Sword, Fire, Flame Sword being and Sun Sword being the bare minimum that you'd want for the final battle, yeah, you're gonna try to find something better.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky at this point, as this has been a slow seed to begin with, and checking a bunch of chests is a good way to lose a bunch of races. Now, in this case, we know that Sylverfyre is quite a bit behind just because of their wipes. However, if Thundercloud, starts opening tons of chests, it could be a really big issue, versus going in with a much weaker sword but a bunch of nukes and a prayer may be enough to get through these Tophers. So our scaling for this is less than 100% all the way up to 230. So we're not at, huge scales, and a bunch of nukes can go a long way, but they have the Power Bonk, they have the Opal Bracelet, they have Fast, they have Temper. They may try and go with, very gear light, other than opening up a couple of free chests here.
I think you'll see at least some chest opening. As you can see here, they'll probably get some greed chests. They'll definitely check out the entire Volcano Armory. Opal Gauntlet, more money, a house.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll be checking, the high density chest locations. So they'll be checking, maybe left and right side of Sky 1, Sky 3, Volcano Armory, but skipping things like the hairpin chest, the spider floor. For those of you who are not familiar with what the locations I'm talking about, they're kind of like one-off chest locations. Places that only are going to give you one item for a number of steps that could lose you a lot of time.
They will probably also be checking the Agama floor 5 chest locations. It does have a decent amount of chests there too. Sylverfyre picking up their crystal, pure potion on that one, another pure on Thundercloud side, picking up their key. Let's see, do they check the grind tile? Opting to just exit. Can understand completely, though we still haven't found anything good. We'll probably see the actual Dwarven location check, Corneria. We'll probably see almost all the actual tea chests picked up because they're quick, they're easy, and they have some decent items sometimes.
Yeah, so if Thundercloud is in checking chest mode, he can check the Cardia Isles for quote-unquote free chests, as well as those key locks like you were mentioning. I think it's very, very unlikely at this point they will see the Marsh key locks, and even the Toph key locks may be skipped, but Thundercloud will kind of show us his intentions soon on how many chests he wants to open.
I think we will see the actual Temple of Fiends key lock chests checked. They will probably be checked depending on how far behind / ahead Thundercloud thinks they are, but they will be most likely going and picking it up in the on their way to go back in time. I could see them doing that just because they're there, especially if they haven't found like a Vorpal or Massa or only one ribbon. I could see them definitely checking there because of what's present there, and it's 3 quick checks, and also how they feel on levels.
So I think Thundercloud might have just briefly forgotten where the tail was for sale. That's why they didn't quickly check Crescent Lake. But remembering now, kind of in promotion mode, and then we'll have to see if he checks the Cardia Isles. So Bahamut is in his vanilla location, so going to the 2 entrance location with the Force will allow our runners to promote. Sylverfyre are about to get the kind of trolly news that the crystal is the herb, but rest assured the herb will turn into the canoe.
It's very true, as it was the last fetch quest in the game, buying the tail, so now they're very low on money, picking up the herbs.
Yep, so Thundercloud about to go promote, and then we'll have to see where they go next. They do only have 1 orblet at this moment, but they are in full go mode. Another thing that should be mentioned, for those of you wondering, why not go knock off a couple orbs first? The reason is that when you're in no mode, getting all your items is going to increase your EXP gain, as you get 5% bonus EXP per key item. So getting all of your key items first, and then clearing the Fiend Dungeons later, or doing your grind later, is just a little bit faster, rather than doing that first, then picking up the key last.
Yep, and we need to add the tail to the tracker, on that one, as the promotes. So we've got promotion, immediately equipping that Bane Sword. Are they? I know it's equipable.
An hour and 5 minutes into the Seeds, Sylverfyre finally has their canoe. They're probably breathing a big sigh of relief / a lot of curse words, but we'll have to see them turn in this floater, get in the air, and then start making up some ground.
And immediately we see a flyback to Gaia, the Gaia location, for Thundercloud to go pick up that Cure 4 on every one of those red mages. Well, now red wizards.
Yeah, so this is why it's not so bad that it was Gaia, at least. But the tail being so expensive is probably what delayed the promotion until this point. Another thing that usually makes people want to speed up promotion is that fighters and ninjas start gaining spell levels at level 15, and if you haven't promoted by then, you don't get them, magically when you promote at level 19. You actually have to earn them. But with an all-mage party, you can really promote whenever you want, and it's not going to make a big difference.
You know what? I just noticed something, and I think Thundercloud didn't realize that Dragon Armor and the Aegis Shield can't be equipped by the actual red, by the red wizards, because they're still lugging them around.
I'm sure he's aware. I think he just doesn't, feel the need to sell them. As when you're selling items, that's usually not a good thing. He's done most of his shopping already. He'll sell them if need be, but
most definitely. I just figured that way to save time on the the actually having to get more cash. But Sylverfyre having the floater now, having the airship is now picking up life and all the other stuff on that one.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre about to get the very good news that Nuke is level 4. Once again, swearing excessively, plus a little bit of, sigh of relief as they finally pick up a good sweeper. But they know that they're behind at this point, and they'll be putting the pedal to the metal, hoping that Thundercloud runs into a tough Topher, which is absolutely possible with this no melee party. For those of you who may have not been watching the Swiss rounds and things like that, melee is kind of what you carry around, lug around with you through a lot of the early game, and then it is what kind of carries you through the later parts when Nuke only doing 150 damage or so to the late game fiends who could have as much as 4,000 HP. You really do need that melee option.
I might add, we found the Zeus Gauntlet, so there's another option there, and looks like, just like you said, Zat, sorry, basically, Thundercloud is going to bore down in the bowels of the volcano.
Yeah, so Thundercloud kind of doing what we expected, where they checked the kind of larger chest density locations, but did not bother checking the super long ones, and I expect to see him continue to do that throughout the remainder of the seed until he finds the Masa or the Vorpal, or ideally both. Another sword that will be of use is the Sun Sword, or the defense. The defense is good just overall, but those are other good, semi-good options for late game.
I mean, you have the Bane Sword, which, God, I forget the actual stats on it, but it is still useful on that one. Some more money, not opting to check the other chests there. Let's see, Cerberuses, as we know, well, nuking for days. Do you think we'll see the Agama tiles checked?
He may check it just because he wants to check the chest, but I don't think Thundercloud is looking necessarily for, a good grind tile at this point. Yeah, the Bane Sword, not really something that they're going to want to use for damage. It's only 22, and it doesn't have a fantastic crit rate either. So the most important stat, actually, for the latest game fiends is crit, because damage can be increased using Temper, but crit cannot. So that's why the Vorpal, with its relatively low damage but extremely high crit rate, is often relied on for Chaos over something like the Excal, which is fantastic during the rest of the game. But
we just found the white shirt.
Yeah, so the white shirt going to be the equivalent of a gold bracelet, which is fantastic late game armor for this white wizard, while also casting Invis 2, which increases your evasion. Once you get up to 6 casts of Invis 2, you are at max evade, and that can make it a lot safer to get through these late game fiend fights.
I might add, did Thundercloud actually check the Cardia Islands?
No, Thundercloud did not check the Cardia Islands. Instead, opting for kind of the greed chests here. I think with his playstyle right now, he'll be checking greed chests for the remainder of the game, and then if he does not find anything in the Fiend Dungeons, he'll go and check the Key Locks and the Cardia Isles, probably starting with the Key Locks.
So we have no information coming on Sylverfyre's side for items, while Carry is down in a single nuke. Wow,
that is a paper carry. Vanilla Carry having 600 HP, so she rolled down a little bit there for sure.
Most definitely. And let's see. So we have more money in Cardia Island, silver, more money. Let's see here. Anything actually useful to write home about here? Oh god. Okay, Sylverfyre just found something good.
Oh man, this is the Cardia Isle of Swords, because those are the two best swords that you could find. The defense sword, essential for any party as it casts Ruse, which is worth 2 stacks of Invis 2 and is really important if you end up in a single red mage or 2 red mage situation. The Masa, of course, being the absolute best weapon in the game. Everything I said about the Vorpal applies. Great crit rate? Heck yes. But not only that, it also has the highest base damage, the highest hit percentage, which increases the number of hits you do, as well as increases the chance of you hitting them. So the Masa, everything you could ask for, it's also equipable by all classes. So,
I mean, I'll add that it is not... The Vorpal does have a higher crit rate than the Masa, sadly, on that one. But the best option out of all of them is usually the Katana if you have the Ninja, just because it's the Vorpal... It's like if the Vorpal and the Masa had a kid, and it's got the crit rate of the Vorpal and more damage than it too.
yeah. We'll see our sword fights get out in chat as people vote for their best, though generally speaking there's a situation which is good for every sword, but the Masa is good for all situations. Thundercloud about to go clear out Sky, so unfortunately not checking the Cardia Isles is going to bite him a little bit. I'm curious to see if he does go back, if he doesn't find a sword. Kind of two of the four or so swords that I would be comfortable going into Topher with, or more comfortable going into Topher with, were located in the Cardia Isles, with the defense and the Masa both being there. So we'll have to see if
not only that, but they were in the same room.
Yeah. So we'll have to see if the Vorpal or the Sun Sword is available. Yeah. So our tracker, once again, Jonathan Yoshi, pointing on chat, Thunder has an orb and a level lead. Yeah, Thunder has a very large lead at this point in terms of just, what he's done, what his levels are, how much he's cleared, how many, he's done all of the incentive dungeons, just because of getting through Earth a little bit faster, getting through Marsh a little bit faster, not double dipping Marsh. But you've got to still talk about the swords, because the swords are important, and they can make a big difference, as the big catch-up mechanism that Sylverfyre does have at this point is a tough as nail Topher. And swords are one of the things that can help. If Thunder doesn't have it, it can make it a lot riskier.
And looks like Thunder is just go-moding it.
Yeah, so this makes me think that Thunder's going to try and get some levels. So Nuke at level 4, you're not just going to get 9 charges of it, for free. So Thundercloud likely to go for a heavier level strategy and not go in with a ton of gear. Because mages scale really well with levels in terms of number of casts. Now, you want more mages rather than fewer mages with higher levels, but when you have a 4-mage party, having more mages is not a problem. So he's just going to need enough levels to get enough casts of his key spells that he feels comfortable going into Topher, rather than searching for a sword. I do expect him to check 4 chests here, though.
As do I. But opting for Tia first instead of Kraken.
Yeah, this play makes sense. Sky has higher level enemies, is going to get a little bit more experience, and getting a little bit more experience is going to make C go a little bit faster.
Very, very true. So let's see, we have a cabin, another heal helmet, some money, and some more money.
Yeah. Ooh, these Whizvamps worth quite a bit of EXP. They can hit hard and have a decent amount of health, but we have more than enough AoE sweepers to take care of them here. And they did not have a bunch of health here. Oh, less than 200. Or less than 210.
That's an insanely good thing. And I guess since we're on the Sky Maze, everybody start getting your Blessed RNGs in chat, because we got a possibility of a Warmac.
I think a part of the reason, there's a discussion going on in chat about why Sky over C. C tends to have larger enemy groups, and if those larger enemy groups have rolled something nasty, you can run into a big problem, especially with a bunch of unrunnable fights that tend to occur there. So you have the always unrunnable Seheg with Seheg pack. But you can also just run into large seafood party plotters with nasty scripts and spells.
I mean, the unrunnable in the latest version of the randomizer, the one that's on the beta site, they finally managed to actually uncouple that from the pirates, so that encounter fight is probably no longer going to be unrunnable.
Yes, that's correct. Taking out the airs, which is a little bit unusual. A lot of times people skip the airs, but Thundercloud taking them out. They were unrunnable? Okay, that makes sense. Ooh, this is another juicy EXP fight. Sorcerers in the vanilla game have Death Touch, which makes them extremely dangerous, but in this randomized version, they tend to just hit 3 times for 3 damage. Now, it looks like they have Stun Touch, which is not as deadly as Death Touch, but definitely can slow down a party, but this is still just a really nice EXP fight, as this next nuke should take everything out.
Yep. Nuke, and nuke. Yep, they're all down. We have another one. Even more free EXP.
Yeah, Thundercloud definitely happy to take these and really kind of showing the power of going sky over sea, because these encounters are just invaluable, very quick, relatively safe EXP fights. On the Bridge of Destiny, we of course have Warmac, which is not really safe but is worth a boatload of EXP. But we also have the 4 Slimes encounter, which is going to be worth a ton. We have this fight, which is generally pretty easy and worth a ton, and we also have the 4 R-Hydras fight, which is worth a bunch of experience and is relatively safe. So lots of good encounters to take on the Bridge of Destiny if you need some experience.
And sadly, no Warmac today, but let's see what Tia has for us today. Fight. Okay, Brack. We'll have a wall on one of the red mages and another cast of Brack, hoping for the Kraken, and one shot, one kill.
Yeah, so Brack is effective against Tiamat. So Bracken the Kraken's actually not weak against poison, but Kraken just has low enough MDef that the relatively high hit percentage of Brack will get the job done at at the exact same rate actually as Tia. Tia, on the other hand, has much higher magic defense, but is weak to poison. So Bracking Tia 1, a good plan. Now, if you want to try the same thing in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, you're in for a bad call, as they have higher magic defense. Well, Tia doesn't, but Tia loses his poison resistance, and Kraken has much higher magic defense. So great for the first fights, not so great for the second ones.
I mean, we have that one. Not checking that one. Looks like going straight into Sea Shrine.
Mm-hmm. So Thundercloud about to give our good friend Kraken a visit. Will be interesting to see how many more chests that he opens. So kind of the bare minimum greed chest count is going to be 3. We'll see if he opens more than that.
Most definitely. And on Sylverfyre side, finding a mage fighter tile, which is a relatively decent grind option. Opting to just Dan the black mage and the white mage and just nuking them out. So hopefully those levels actually might catapult them, up on some things because of, well, let's see, will they house? They will house and go back in. Yep. They're going to grind those 2 mages up and hope the fact of the massa and the defense might help.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Sylverfyre, because they have just a few less key items, the grind is a little bit slower. Also, that's a good grind tile. It's not the absolute best, but getting some critical levels that will let them get through the remainder of the game until Topher safely is always a good call. So that grind play makes lots of sense. They were going to kind of warp out anyways, and actually going back for more.
As I said, you found something good. Okay, Sharknado, gold bracelet. That gold bracelet's actually pretty good on that one. In fact, I won't say it's huge, but it is very good on that one. Opting to not check the last chest there, and we'll be on to Kraken real soon.
Yeah, so opened 5 chests here. Yeah, those 2 northern chests in Sharknado only requiring a few extra encounter-causing steps. And Sea Stakes have Trance, so get your Trance Resolution out here. As those Sea Stakes not giving them a good time, but we'll get out okay. The relatively, okay levels here make Trance not have a super high chance of hitting, and also the ribbons, of course, giving resistance. The single ribbon. Thundercloud onto the Kraken floor, now respecting this pack, wanting to use all of their powerful AoEs in Nuke and Thorhammer. Sylverfyre continue to take this fight. I'll be curious to see how far up they go. I would expect early 20s to kind of be a cap out, or more accurately, probably when they run out of nukes, they'll call it a day here. That's often what veteran runners will do, is, say, I'm going to go until I run out of my key sweeping spell, and then I'm going to leave. Sylverfyre also making the veteran play here of going down and up instead of left and right, and the reason for that is because the tiles on top of the bottom there do not cause encounters. So by going down and up, guaranteeing they're not going to get an in-between encounter. Always just going to be going step, fighter mages, step, fighter mages, and that's exactly what you want when you're grinding.
Very true, very true. And let's see, we're at Kraken. Will they go for Duke, could see the other one, Fade, and Nuke. So pure spells, let's see, Nuke, 175, Nuke, 390. Okay, yep, that was for Kraken.
Yeah, so vanilla Kraken having 800 HP could go as high as, 2,000, but not likely. So you don't want, just going nukes and fades will get you through most Kraken fights. At their levels, they could afford to take a punch. and the early Fiend's very, very, very unlikely to have nuke.
And looks like Thundercloud will check these chests, probably check Topher, and we'll probably see a Topher play real soon. Sorry, money. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is exactly kind of the play I expected him to make, looking for a final sword. Now, this is the critical decision here. Does he go in? Yeah, okay, so he's going to the Dwarven Armory. The next play after this is going to be either... There's always kind of a branching path. Do I check more or do I check less? If at any point he could just decide to go into Topher. But after Dwarven Armory, the next play is going to be Elf Castle if he decides to check more. And then after that, it could be the Cardia Isles. And if he goes Cardia Isles, he is going to get rewarded with his Masa and his defense sword.
And as a positive note, if they actually had a ninja, they found one of the katanas.
Yeah, so the katana, unfortunately, only equipable by the ninja. Not going to be any help for them. Does he go to Elf? And...
Let's see, flying that way. Nah. Cart.
Okay. Going here for some levels, I believe. I think he's going to take a grind on the Naga water tile.
Most likely. With what was available, yes, more than likely is going for that grind.
Yeah, so this is an interesting and a good veteran move here. Basically, what he's saying to us, the viewers, right now is, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with my sword situation, so I'm going to try and nuke and fade my way through Topher, and that means I need levels. If he found a Masa, you know what? Maybe he can go in with less levels because he can fast and temper his way out. But with no real sword available, he's going to have lots of spell charges to make sure that he can nuke and fade and his way through all 4 Fiendry fights plus Chaos.
I mean, you do have the opportunity to just... you do have an actual ability to get through the fights with those 2 red mages, but understandable, just getting through all that one. And while Thundercloud is doing a bit of a grind, Sylverfyre is on their way to actual carry. So let's see, we'll start with a fade. Also choosing nuke, and attack. So nuke coming out, we have 120 some damage. Other nuke coming out, 117. Swing with that Masa, 4 hits, 223 damage. And carry 1 is down for Sylverfyre. It's their first orb at 1 hour, 29 minutes, and let's call it 13 seconds.
Yeah, so there's some discussion in chat going on about how high Thunder's going to take this grind. And I honestly don't have a great answer. There's, a matter of risk versus reward. There's spell charges, but there's also just raw HP. Mage parties, something that the fighter is underappreciated for newer runners is just how important that very high health pool is. Black belts, of course, also having the high health pool, but the fighters have that right combination of having a high health pool as well as very high absorb with the fantastic armor available to them. When you don't have that, surviving, big AoE spells, big punches, all that becomes way dicier. So while we have 3 life casters here, 1 nuke could take out this entire party with some bad luck.
Also, has Thundercloud... No, I don't think they went back to buy Life 2, sadly, on that one. But let's see, picking up some more levels here. I think we will see... choosing to exit out. Probably housing up and, yep, going back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, healing's not going to be a major concern, so Life 2 does 2 things. 1, it saves heal pots, and 2, it is faster. Speed is obviously a concern, but probably not worth going back for, but they have a decent amount of healing magic as well as all the heal pots, so Life 2 not essential at this point with Life 1 available.
And Sylverfyre picking up their Oxy.
Yeah, so Sylverfyre still has to get through 3 Fiend dungeons as well as 2 more incentive dungeons, so lots of work left for them to do, but at this point, anything could happen in Topher.
That is true.
And they do have one major advantage, which I don't think Thundercloud is going to... the fact that they're doing the grind right now makes me think they're not going to check the Cardia Isles. And that means Sylverfyre will have the sword advantage. Yeah, so I anticipate Thunder's just going to be basically going until they run out of nukes and fades and then get out of dodge. Whatever level that may be, it should be, early to mid-30s.
I mean, I could also see getting the break point on the flame sword, since that is your best weapon on that one, which, as we both have said, it's not the best, but also Sylverfyre picking up their power bomb, but within that, you'll want to at least cap out the maximum number of hits on that one. Hopefully they find Vorpal at some place, but either way, also one of the red mages being down. Hopefully they will revive them, but not sure. They will cure 4 again, and not sure what they'll do on that one. But Sylverfyre immediately running over to the actual Sea Shrine and is probably going to go straight for Kraken.
Yeah, so something that I actually expect them to keep it down, yeah. The reason I expected Thundercloud to keep the red mage down is because when you're going into Topher, having fewer people with more HP is actually safer for the first 4 fiends. Because as long as your higher party members survive to cast life, you're fine. Thunder does have the bonk. So swords are options. You have fast, we have multiple casters of temper, and we have the power bonk, so you can play chaos. If chaos has 4300 HP or 4600 HP, you can get through them using a very slow defensive strategy, but not exactly what you're looking to do.
Tis true.
So Thundercloud just continuing their grind. Sylverfyre, meanwhile, gonna go get one of their orbs lit. After this, they're just basically making the map routing play. They'll be going to Sky and Earth, and then Waterfall and Ordeals. Although, in what exact order, they will have to decide. And Thundercloud happy with his levels, and looks like this is going to be a Topher dive coming up. So at the hour and 33-minute mark, we will be entering Topher for the first time to see what it has in store for us.
We will see 3 chests checked first. That is because the Topher chests. And most likely we will also see both of the last 2 chests that you will see in the game, because no one's going to go check the vanilla massive chests. But yeah, we will probably see those checked as well.
Yeah, the 2 validation chests.
Yep. Although I am surprised, has Thundercloud equipped the Thor hammer yet?
I don't think he has.
Opting to skip that.
Not something that you want to rely on, although the Thor hammer would probably do equitable damage to the flame sword at this point.
I mean, the white mage can equip it. It is a decent weapon. The white wizard can equip it, so it is an option there.
So Thundercloud about to get through these first few floors, and then we will see what the first Fiend Fight Revisited Lich 2 has for us. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre onto the Kraken floor.
Is making up a lot of decent time, but it's going to come down to chaos. And ooh, that's a very good tile blocking chaos. For the first tile in there, the only trap tile we'll deal with.
Thundercloud taking the imps on again.
I think let's see.
He was autopiloting and realized that he wanted to check the validation chest here. That's why he took that fight again.
Money and a soft potion.
So down he goes. Unrunnable zombie Ds.
Very good EXP.
Casting slow, not doing much. You would think mages with high intelligence would make a difference, but nope. Intelligence does absolutely nothing in this game. It's there just because it wanted to be closer to D&D, I think.
I mean, reports on the randomizer. Did they ever actually code intelligence to do anything, or just to make it, closer to D&D?
As far as I know, they never meant it to do anything, and even within the dev community, there's been a bunch of discussion on what they could make intelligence do, but it's really tricky to do without completely breaking the game. So for now, it will be a mystery. Sylverfyre taking on Kraken, going with the fast strats, going with the nuke, doing some good damage. This Kraken will not be long for the world.
Nope, and Mud and Rock Gulls getting away from them, almost to the Lich fight. I guess does Thundercloud. I might add at 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 90 seconds. Sylverfyre has lit their second orb, and let's see, will he disrespect Lich? No, actually opting to heal up the tiniest bit.
You absolutely cannot disrespect Lich here, because if Lich opens up with nuke and you're a 4 mage party, everyone but your white wizard could go down. So there is no disrespect with this particular party.
Nuke.
Sylverfyre brought the Kraken.
See, nuke for a bit of damage, harm 4 coming out for White Mage for 270, nuke coming out for 104, and terminated. So Litz 2 is down. I might add, while we're, having, Thundercloud and the others, Thundercloud and Sylverfyre, working their way through various dungeons, I do remember to follow our runners, as they've been putting on an amazing race, and hopefully you're all enjoying this race so far.
Thundercloud about to take on Carry 2. Carry 2 actually traditionally taken on with nukes and fades, so probably a similar strategy going to be applied here. But nukes and fades, every cast really counts here, as the later fiends could have a bunch of HP, and with swords being kind of the really, really bad backup strat, if they run out, it's going to be a really rough fight against Kraken or Tia here.
Very, very, very true. And let's see here. So we're going on to the to the Kraken floor.
And remember, Sea Snakes have trance? These runners sure do, because we have 3 party members stunned, everyone but the ribboned up White Wizard, and this is going to make this fight extremely painful. Luckily, Thorhammer gets off, but these Sea Snakes have a little bit of HP, more than 100. My apologies, Shadow Walker corrected me in chat. The trance is actually non-elemental, so the ribbon's not doing much. It's just MDef and luck on this point.
Yep, and almost at level 30 for the entire party.
So Thundercloud hoping to not run into that trance pack again. We'll have to see how it goes as he continues through the seafloor. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre going back to their place of nightmares in Earth, but about to, go light the Earth Orb with a little bit more luck this time. It's amazing what a few casts of Nuke will do. And this time, using those critical Nuke casts, just because he does not want to get slowed down by this fight any more than he absolutely has to. Now, that Sea Snake, or that Sea Troll living could be very bad if the next thing that goes off is another nuke. So yeah, 2 nukes used on that pack, and that is just more draining of the resources. Something that Thundercloud might do if he wipes here is take a different encounter table, so not go in on the power cycle, and that's something that our veteran runners will do a lot of. They purposely come in on a power cycle, so that way if they find something they don't like this, they will, burn a few encounters first and then go back in. Resorting to, Lit and Ice 2, but that will get the job done here. Hopefully, there are no Sea Snakes here, so no worry about trance. Meanwhile, on Sylverfyre side, Lich #1 about to go down, as Thundercloud about to take on the Kraken Honda himself. Known for hitting hard and staying alive, you'll have to see how Thundercloud does against the 3rd last boss in this game.
So let's see how this Kraken shapes up. Throwing the White Mage to the top. So let's see, we'll start with a White Shirt. A bit of Invis 2, a bit of Invis 2. Going for 4 stacks of Invis 2, Ice 2 coming up from Kraken, not that much damage, so easy to dodge. As a positive note, they will be able to get a lot of stacks of Invis 2 very fast.
Yeah, so going up to 4 stacks of Invis 2 on turn 1, at this point, they're actually looking for a punching Kraken, and just hoping it's not a spellcasting one, as all of their party members are well within nuke range at this point. Nuclear, at least the White Wizard will survive, but that's not what you're looking for at this point. So making a nice veteran move there, using heal 3, and now it's going to be nukes.
147, second nuke coming out with a 384 damage. The next White Shirt coming out, so there are 5 total stacks of Invis. They're coming with 2 nukes, another Fade, and another nuke. Third nuke coming out, we have 282 damage. Fade coming out for 312.
Ooh,
Fire 3 coming out from Kraken, though.
Getting some nice unresisted rolls here. So these later fiends have such high magic defense that you're usually going to be rolling half damage. So instead of nuclear doing 400 damage, you'd be doing 200 damage instead. But getting a couple lucky hits through there, doing good work on Kraken. Kraken didn't have tons of health, so on to Tia, and it looks like they're going to have enough nukes to get through Tia, but probably going to run out as they hit Chaos. But Chaos is probably the fight where they were actually the most comfortable with going defense up and trying to play him a little bit slower, potentially having to bonk and temper and fast up a sword wielder.
I mean, you have the actual fire sword, not the best, but it's a weapon. And looking for a whole set of Invis too, so starting out with another white shirt, so standard 4 times buff to the defense to evade. Tia hitting for 120 damage, not bad, not bad. I mean, it could be less, it could be more, at least it doesn't knock down one of the party members. And we had another set of white shirts, going for a wall on that one. Looks like another wall, and I could not see what the other one was, and in about a few less than a minute, Sylverfyre should officially, well, not officially be in go mode, but should have almost, be a key away from go mode. So you're going for fade.
Quite a reasonable number of fade and nuke casts left, but really making sure that they get full defense up first, as they know this fight could be slow. I'll expect to see some heal 3s coming out next round, just trying to keep everyone alive, but they do have 3 life casters, so the slow and steady approach wins the race, unless you run into back-to-back nuke or nuclears.
Very true, very, very true. Going for some more nukes, let's see, choosing a Cure 4 on the White Mage, another Fade coming out, Fade from the White Mage, so we got 310 damage, nuke from the Red Mages, 346 damage, Tia swings, misses, tempering up a White Mage, and curing, that's definitely a temper on the White Mage.
Yeah, so going with a combination of strats here. They know that their White Wizard has enough HP to survive something dangerous, so they were putting a backup strat in place, just in case something bad came out, and they had that White Wizard need to go man mode. But Thundercloud gets through with 4 party members, which is huge against Chaos here. A number of nukes and fades left, but not enough probably to burn through most Chaos's health pools. However, with all 4 party members up, that makes it faster to get up in Viz stacks, faster to get off wall stats, and faster to get off tempers and bonks. So,
I mean, if not they finally equipped the Thor Hammer on that White Wizard.
Pardon me, sorry.
I was saying, did you see whether or not they finally equipped that Thor Hammer on that White Wizard?
Oh yeah, I believe that is what the White Wizard is swinging at this point. Sorry, I was seeing Zenobian point out in chat that there's a red rainbow match going on, and he's not in it. So it was Syl who kind of ended up picking the red mage last, but here we go, on to Chaos himself, going out. Okay, readjusting, going with the Invis strats first, so going up with...
Invis, and, God, was that wall?
Yeah, that was wall. So doing the exact same adjustment, knowing that if Thundercloud has not seen any scary AoE non-elementals yet. So knowing that if he's going to wipe, he needs to make sure that Fast gets off first. So that's why Fast went off in the first turn. But 3 Invis stacks off, about to get up to max evade this turn. Deciding to go with wall first, knowing that 4 Invis stacks is probably good enough.
Yep, very true. Opting for another wall. White shirt coming out from that Black Mage, wall coming out on the Red Mage on the self, the other Red Mage on the self. Cast with stun, stunning that Black Mage. This will get to 5 stacks of Invis too. Now opting for Temper on that White Wizard. Opting for Fade. Looking for Fade on that one. Let's see, we've got a Power Bomb coming out. Lit 2 coming out from Chaos, not that much on damage. Fade coming out from the Red Mage, 132 damage. Fade coming out for the Red Wizard, 172. Powerbomb coming up. We've got another Fade cast coming up. QR4, I think. Fade as well. Fade coming out for the Red Wizard, 208 damage. Cast misses. Fade, 222. QR4 on White Mage from the White Mage, opting to temper up the White Mage, opting to temper up that White Mage, swings with Thor Hammer, 2 hits, 2 damage. Tempering up, tempering up. The 2 coming out from Chaos again.
Starting to run out of charges of their, really high-level non-elemental, so falling back onto those temper strats, but at this point they have the survivability up. They have a number of temper charges going on, and this will eventually get the job done.
Also, I missed what time, but Sylverfyre has officially entered Go mode.
Entering Go mode as your opponent is on Chaos is not a good feeling, but this has not been a good race. Just in terms of just how mean the seed was for a 4-mage party.
Also, Duke coming out again for around like 270 something, and then basically 199. Also, I think Chaos did cast Slow too, but I did not see whether or not that was effective or not. Apparently it was, because refasting it up. 11 damage from that White Wizard. Tempering out again on that White Wizard.
The only benefit right now is that this Chaos has not done anything scary. The Chaos has had more than enough turns. Now, there could still be something really scary just waiting at the end, but the only thing that's keeping Thundercloud in this right now is just the fact that, Slow and Steady will win the race when Thundercloud is not packing a nuclear arsenal.
Also, 2 hits for 300 damage from that Thor Hammer. Let's see, we got 2 hits, 300 damage, tempering up that Mage again, and Bane coming out, but ineffective on everything. Tempering up that White Mage again, 3rd stack of temper, just for this one turn alone. Heal potting, choosing another nuke, I think, on that one. And let's see, yeah, heal potting the White Mage, Lit 2 coming out again from Chaos. So, pretty smart. The spell list, 3 hits, 450 damage. Chaos rolls a little bit BB. Let's see, 3 hits for 50 again. Getting some insanely high rolls on that one. Heal potting the White Mage again. Wait, swing, wait. Fire 3 coming out, though. Taking down that Black Wizard.
Yeah, but the Tempered Hammer finally getting there. 3 hits, 705, and Thundercloud has won with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 2 seconds. So get your GGs out in chat.
Very, very true. Are you going to see if Thunder wants to come in for an interview?
Yep, I am asking him right now. Of course, he did finish 15 minutes ago, so... But I definitely want to see his thoughts on the,
White Mage can equip it.
The Thor Hammer strats, as they say.
Sorry, the White Wizard can equip it, so it is an option there. I gotta find out their thoughts on where a certain weapon was.
First few floors, and then we will see what the first Fiend Fight Revisited Lich. And we are going to be joined by both of our runners, Thunder and Sylverfyre, after that grueling 4-mage matchup. But
it's gonna come down to Chaos.
Sylverfyre is going to continue going on.
That's a very good tile blocking Chaos. For the first tile in here, the only trap tile we'll deal with.
Thundercloud taking the imps on again.
I think let's see.
He was autopiloting and realized that he wanted to check the validation. And I think we just need to make sure we get the
money.
I'm not.
And,
so I'm hearing. I'll just quickly mute up here for a second. But there seems to be an echo. Down he goes. Unrunnable zombie Ds.
Very good EXP.
And we are joined by Thunder in the booth. GG's, Thunder. Casting slow, not doing much. You would think mages with high intelligence. Let's start with the end of the seed, because we'll go back to the beginning and all of that fun times that you had there. How are those Thor Hammer strats?
I mean,
Thor Hammer was an interesting find. I mean, when I first opened it, it kind of caught me off guard for a second, because I haven't been playing very many of these seeds, and I was like, wait, was that box a loose item? Sure was.
As far as I know, they
and so I was like, cool, got that. And it was pretty nice considering Ice 1 was the only damage spell I had for a very long time. So I got the put my weight on that Thor Hammer and make sure it carried me throughout the rest of the early game. Then finding the loot in Dwarf Cave and like, hold on, we just got 2 loose items in like the first 5 minutes of the game basically. or maybe a little more.
And,
this is crazy. And then requiring to go to Marsh was where things started to feel bad, but ended up getting through with only a mild bit of trouble.
Does Thundercloud?
Oh, I see.
I have to ask one question. When you promoted, did you think about checking the Cardia Islands?
I considered it, but I kind of felt good enough in my go mode to only do kind of in my path-ish checks for greed treasures. So I didn't want to take the time to park my airship, go in, go out, park my airship, go in, and go out a whole bunch, you know?
Sorry, just one quickly. I think, Thunder, that your music's still being played, and you might be listening to the stream, so they're getting double echo. So if you could just quickly mute that up.
I have mine muted, yeah.
So Litz 2 is down.
I will add Thunder.
I might add.
Do you want to know what was in the Zarya Islands?
Sure. What was it?
Thundercloud and Sylverfyre.
In the same room, Massa and Defense Sword.
I do remember to follow her.
That's funny. I was hoping to maybe see a Massa, but obviously it didn't need to be found for me to win this one.
And we are joined in the booth as well by Sylverfyre. GG, Syl. Tough race there.
I tilted clean off the face of the planet there. There's no mincing words.
Every cast really
I was way too frustrated to make clear decisions after limping out of Marsh Cave.
Really bad backup
Yeah, I took a bunch of wipes there myself.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that Marsh, like I should have just been like, okay, you know what? There's like a million lethal unrunnable things in this Marsh Cave. Don't worry about it. Just get that canal and warp out. What did I do when I got the canal? I decided, well, I also want that flame sword. Let me go grab that, and then I'll warp out. No, there's like 4 lethal groups and like a million unrunnables. The flame sword is not worth it.
Yeah, it took me probably at least like 9 attempts to clear top and make it to bottom marsh at least. And then once I got the bottom marsh, I actually made it through bottom marsh in one go and cleared everything but the trap tile.
No, I wiped
with the flame sword and the canal and just warped out.
I wiped so many times in bottom marsh. I didn't leave marsh until it was 29 minutes in. 25 was the time where I saw the
mark, so you definitely had a little worse time than I did.
25 was when I first saw the canal, and then like an idiot, I just didn't immediately cast warp 3 times. Like I was even making sure it's like, okay, I can cast this many stops or bracks on dangerous enemies before I run out of warp charges.
Exactly what I was thinking the whole time too.
I also got greedy against the pirates. I was trying to, like, I had bought stop on one of the mages, and it was like, yeah, that's fine, because I didn't have the Thor hammer yet from TOF.
What a few casts of nuke will do.
I went straight to TOF first, and then kind of went around the world after that.
And this time, using those.
Yeah, pretty much. I like when I don't have save items in Corneria, I just go kill Garland and I don't do the rest of TOF.
That C-Troll living could be very bad if the next thing that goes off.
Which is the general play that you really want to do on that one, unless you are confident or you have like at least a decent weapon to try to survive to check those items.
Yeah, which we had Ice 1 and that's it. So
he wipes here is
I didn't know how many Ice 1s it was going to take to kill Garland. Apparently it took 1.
That's something that our veteran runners will do a lot.
That sounds right.
They purposely come in on a power cycle, so that way, if they find something they don't like this, they.
As a positive note, you were the only person to have Massa.
Oh, wasn't it like free?
Yes, it was. And Thunder decided to not check Cardia Islands.
Hopefully.
That was like I checked Cardia Islands, and I'm like, well, there's an endgame sword. I am done checking chests forever.
Silverfyre side, Lich.
My endgame sword was the Thor hammer.
About to take on the Kraken Honda himself. Known for hitting hard and staying alive. You'll have to
I kind of knew from the very beginning when I found that Thor hammer, I was like, alright, if I don't have like a Mazza in my path here, I'm gonna use Invis strats, fast and temper on this white mage and make it through Topher if I have to. And that's exactly what happened.
We'll start with a white shirt.
Yeah, I generally go with like the defense sword. Even the defense sword was with the Masamune, and like even the defense sword, in my opinion, is good enough when it's like, okay, I've got 3 black magic casters. They are going to spam tempers like nobody's business. that's fine. Defense sword's fine.
So going up to 4 stacks in Invis 2.
I did grind a Water Naga tile and Earth Cape before going into Toph, just to get my White Mage over 400 HP. But I was going to lean on the Cure 4s and the Invis stacks.
I did a medium grind on the Fighter Mage tile in Volcano.
147.
Which felt a little faster, and it was basically just I was just grinding my 2 red mages basically until they had like a whole bunch. Like I was mostly concerned. It's like I want a lot of nukes and fades. I want to like be waltzing through sky and just microwaving everything. And then I want to like not have to worry about will I have enough nukes that I can nuke carry to Kraken 2 and Tiamat 2 into the ground. Like, I don't want to have to do melee strats until I get to Chaos itself.
That's exactly how I approached it too. I had, I think, like maybe 1 nuke on each red mage and no nukes on my black mage, but I had a couple fades by the time I got to Chaos, like 2 or 3 fades on each red.
I had used a couple fades, like I was using fades on like some of the less super scary stuff.
I did blow a few nuke charges on the Sea Snake pack just because they had trance and I didn't want to deal with that.
Oh, that's like an example of where I was blowing fades instead of nukes because I was like, okay, I know that fade is good enough here. I'm just gonna use fade.
Yeah, true.
Times buff to the defense to evade.
So I have to ask you both, that party composition, any particular reason why you chose it?
It could be less, it could be more. At least
well, Syl picked first, and Syl picked White Mage, which I was like, cool. I like White Mages. I was like, let's make this a little rainbow and see what happens after that. So I picked the Red Mage and the Black Mage. And then Syl decided that Red Rainbow was going to be the play today. And it was a lot of fun. I liked the spicier party there.
Less than a minute. Sylverfyre should officially.
Yeah, and honestly, like my troubles with the seed had nothing to do with the comp.
Be a key away from go mode.
Yeah, it was just kind of bad scripts, no matter what party.
It was you know bad scripts, and then me reacting really poorly to bad scripts. Like after I died in Marsh, I never had checked the what turned out to be the Saria, the wizard tile, basically with the Sarias. Like I had just completely skipped that, being like, you know, I'm already limping out here. I'm gonna check top right before I do that.
I did too.
And so I had never even seen that, and I'm like, is that the canoe?
I know, I kept thinking that too.
And so I went there instead of going to Sky.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, I did last location.
And the thing is, like, coming out, and the thing is, like, I'm looking back at that, and, like, coming out of Inner Sea,
going with, like, a combination of strats here.
Honestly,
White Mage, White Wizard has enough.
Like, I like the Sky play better there anyway, because I'm not trying to full clear a dungeon with Harm 3 and a Thor Hammer.
Thundercloud gets through with 4 party members, which is
I'm just trying to like duck in, grab a canoe, and duck out. And that is exactly the type of thing that you can do when it's like, well, I've got some Harm 3s, a Thor Hammer, and a lot of warps.
Faster to get off wall stats.
And right, neither of you did check the bottom of ice, except for warping back out.
Oh yeah, there's no reason to check the bottom of ice there. Like we knew we were in go mode when we picked up that crystal out of Mirage.
Which I might add, what do you think of the game making you have to put in more fetch quests in order to get your canoe?
I was saying,
doesn't matter.
Whether or not they finally equipped that.
I mean, it was slightly annoying how the routing ended up being on the boat. It felt like you had to go around the world quite a lot, but I mean, it was what it was. You know, the other player had to go through it as well, so you know, it didn't feel like you were losing time from it.
Yeah, there's no real like. Well, if I had, you know, routed my boat routing a little bit differently, then I could have saved a huge amount of time. That it wasn't really like that, and like moving on the boat was really easy and fast.
God, was that wall?
Yeah, that was wall. So doing
overall, so I know you two have already planned for your next match on that one. Any thoughts on what you might want to see for that one?
He needs to make sure that Fast gets off first.
Thor Hammer.
That's why Fast went off in the first turn. But 3 Invis off, about to get up to max evade this turn. Deciding to go with wall first.
No comment.
4 Invis stacks is probably good enough.
Yep, very true. Opting for another wall.
I'd like to not tilt off the face of the planet. That was really embarrassing. Like I threw away at least 10 of those 15 minutes just from like raw mistakes.
This will get to 5 stacks of invis too.
I think it was what, a 15-minute gap?
For temper on that white mage.
Yeah, at least 10 of that was just like 100% me making bad judgment calls. At least 10 minutes of that.
We don't feel bad on that one still. We all have been there. We all have
been there. Yeah, but it's like don't make bad decisions. That's what I'm taking out of this.
I'm just gonna say, just give it a little bit of time. We've all been there. We all have. Anybody who's played the randomizer has had that time or two several times.
Cast misses. Fade 222. QR4 on White Mage from the White Mage. Opting to temper up the White Mage. Opting to temper up that White Mage. Swings with Thorhammer. 2 hits, 2 damage. Tempering up. Tempering up.
Alright, well, I guess anybody mind wrapping up? It's getting a little late over where I'm at. Got work in the morning.
I know, just letting Sylverfyre finish up on stream because
at this point they have the survivability up. They have a number of
as well. We can on that one.
Will eventually get the job done.
So
right, I totally forgot that the race was still being watched.
It happens. It happens. It's one of those things with the delay on that one. So
yep, I just beat Tiamat too.
Do you want to be on the call for your own chaos fight?
This has not been a good race.
Yeah, this chaos fight actually went pretty okay in my opinion.
That's an interesting commentary decision. I like this.
Duke coming out again. Duke coming out again for.
I mean, if we have the runner here in the booth, offer the commentary, offer the commentary to them. Because it's a good thing.
One of the things, so just about to go into the chaos fight now. Move the defense. Got to move the defense sword because like only that bottom red mage even matters. I'm gonna wall up here because I want to make sure that I can get all these tempers off before anyone really starts dying. And I see that 84 damage from Chaos's melee, single swing, 84 damage. I'm not actually going to use any more evasion on the on that bottom red mage because it's like, oh, Chaos's melee isn't scary enough to worry about it.
Let's see, we got 2 hits, 300 damage, tempering up that.
So I'm just going to start swinging.
And Bane coming out, but ineffective on everything. Tempering up that white mage again.
I see the stun touch. I get a little worried, but I have cure 4s. Like
choosing another.
You can cure 4 to cure a stun.
Yeah, heal potting the white mage.
I'm a little annoyed at the stun on the black mage though. Like maybe I should have cure 4'd this. I thought about it. I decided not to because it's like, well, the black mage might just get blown up anyway.
Yeah, so we're a little bit BB.
I'm out of temper charges here, and that's a minor mistake that I wasn't paying attention to how many I had left.
Potting the white mage again. Wait, swing, wait. Fire 3 coming out though, taking down that black wizard.
And there I was like trying to think, it's like, am I doing enough damage with my melees yet? The heal pod is like, well, I want to be close to 400 health because I did lose a race earlier this tournament. Or no, I didn't lose a race, but I did wipe to chaos earlier this tournament because I took like a 380 nuke. And it's like if I had just topped off that little bit.
Yep, I am asking him right now. Of course, he did finish 15 minutes ago, so.
At this point, my melee damage is coming out fine. Like my red mages are like full health. I'm just gonna go for the weight strats and hit it one more time with Mazamune for a kill.
I gotta find out their thoughts on.
That's what was going through my mind all that chaos fight, basically.
I like it. We get the little perspective of the actual runner, why they're making their choices. Good commentary.
Yeah, and like that's actually something like I generally consider my play in TFR really good, and honestly, I hesitated more during that chaos fight than I usually do, and I don't like that.
I felt like I was hesitating a lot throughout the seed with making decisions on what spells I was going to use in certain fights.
Oh yeah, it's definitely when you have 4 mages and it's like, okay, well, this one has the Thor hammer, and I've got to worry about like how many level 2 spell charges do I have left so I can cast enough warps. 85 chests opened. I like seeing low numbers on chests opened. Went through that with 1 ribbon.
I think I was just over 100 because I did check a lot of greed boxes throughout the Fiend dungeons.
And we are joined by
I checked, the only greed boxes I checked were the Volcano Armory, and that was mostly because I wanted to see what the trap tiles were. And I saw that Fighter Mage, and it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then so I checked the volcano armory, and I checked the like on the way chests
was an
in
interesting
Sea Shrine.
find. I mean,
And that was
when I
it.
first opened it kind of caught me off guard for a second because I haven't been playing. Best thing I found in the Greed Jets was a white shirt and volcano on the Echo floor in one of the free boxes.
Uh-huh.
And then